Hey all, here are OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the Wonbo Q90. This is a kid's smartwatch, as you can maybe guess by the colorful packaging here. We've already seen lots of budget smart wearables in the past, but this one is a bit more rugged. It also features a UI that's been designed for kids, and a few additional smart features like GPS location tracking that gives parents a better peace of mind. Now the watch itself is still really cheap. It's only 25 bucks. There's a $5 instant coupon when you apply at checkout and comes in two colors, blue and pink. There's also a built-in flashlight. You can call people on the watch, so kids can call their parents, they can call the emergencies, and it uses a micro SIM card. Now, one of the downsides of these watches, however, is it only supports 2G networks, which is why in the US it's only compatible with T-Mobile because AT&T no longer offers 2G compatible prepaid SIM cards. The smartwatch also does have a basic built-in camera, so for $25, it actually is maybe even a better value in terms of the hardware than many of the regular smartwatches with the camera and with built-in GPS. So again, good hardware value on paper. We've got a quick user manual in the box, in addition to a micro USB cable that's used for charging. The arm here is a little bit longer than usual, so make sure you don't lose this particular micro USB cable. And just for the sake of reference, we also have the pink version on the left, so you can see that is the color difference with the blue. The band itself really still has a black accent, it's just the plastic polycarbonate has a different color on the sides. The straps themselves are not user removable. You can see they're missing that little pin at the bottom, so they aren't as easy to swap out, not that you would really need to on a child's watch. The back here doesn't feature an optical heart rate sensor, so those health features are removed in lieu of security for the kid, which is just location tracking really. And there's also an IMEI number, since again it really is a cell phone watch because you can make phone calls with a micro SIM card. So on the side here it says Kids Watch on the plastic bezel, and there's also what looks like a loudspeaker and microphone on the very bottom here. So here's the main menu of the watch. We just set the time, we can see it's very animated, it looks like Winnie the Pooh. It shows the number of steps that the child has walked down below, the day of the week, as well as the battery percentage on the top right hand corner, and the wireless signal for the 2G network. Again, this is a GSM watch because it uses a SIM card, so it doesn't work with any CDMA bands such as network providers like Verizon or Sprint, for instance. Now, the battery life, it charges up in around 40 minutes, and afterwards the battery will last for about 3 days before it needs to be recharged because, again, it has the cellular network and the GPS all turned on, which of course consumes battery. So a little bit better than, say, an Apple Watch, but also not the longest battery life in the world. Technically, it is using a MediaTek processor, and it has 128 megabytes of RAM. Now, it does not have a micro SD card, so there is no way to expand the memory. I point that out because there's only storage here to save one photo that you take using the camera at a time. And that seems a little comical at first, but the reason is because it will automatically push the photos that you've taken over to the parent's phone. So the parent can monitor everything the child is seeing and taking an image of, but the watch itself only stores one photo with the built-in memory. When the side key is pressed, the first thing you see is an analog style watch with an owl in the center, so again, really embracing that kid's theme. The display is a regular TFT panel, it's not IPS, so viewing angles are a little bit limited. As you can see, if you tilt it slightly, it becomes quite washed out, and it's not the most visible thing in the world outdoors, but I suppose that's a compromise to make the cost low, and for kids, I would say it suffices. Now I can tap once here to go into this main menu, and we see the previous screen once again. I can now swipe over to access the carousel of features, including dialing someone, and here we have just the typical dialer pad. The keys themselves are pretty small, but the capacitive screen is alright for tapping, and kids have smaller fingers, so I would say it works alright. Now, I can also swipe over to access the preset phone book. This almost looks like SpongeBob's face on top of the phone book, which is a little strange. And the next tap over, we have the camera, and the camera again, it really is functional. You can see it's mounted on the side just like on other smartwatches. So exiting again, we also have quick learning. Again, embracing that kids theme, there is one built-in game, which is arithmetic. It gives you quick questions on mathematics, which you have to answer before the timer goes down. So 2 plus 1 is 3 is correct. 3 plus 3 is 0 is wrong, so you have to tap on this before the timer goes out, and then you try and keep on going. Essentially, the questions get a little bit harder progressively. That's basically the one built-in game. It works, I suppose, if you're in a pinch, but there's no additional kind of games that you can access on here. It's just one quick learning game. Over here, we can access WeChat. That's a little strange because it's more popular in Asia, but essentially, if you have 2G network or if you're connected using Bluetooth, it can sync up some limited notifications from social media to display here. We also have access to the flashlight, which is in a separate tab. It's simply using LED, and from here we can just tap to turn it on, and then you can see the light here on the side has started to flash. It actually is very effective and one of the nicer features in my opinion. I think even regular smartwatches, which are rugged and outdoors, should try to incorporate a flashlight because it really is handy if you're outdoors and camping, or if you're trying to find your keys in the dark. I think it's a nice little extra. But I can turn it off again, and it works. Let's swipe out. And on the side, we also have device info that includes firmware information. You can download the application by scanning this QR code in case you don't want to scan the one from the instructions. The target here is probably going to be elementary school or kindergarten kids, I suppose, because again, technology really is advancing super quickly, and kids these days are already quite proficient at technology, in my opinion. So for older children, getting a regular smartphone would probably be a better idea. Turning over to the companion app on the parent's phone, it's called SE Tracker 2, and when you first log in, you have to create an account, and afterwards you can start pairing it. So that's the QR code printed on the back that we also saw in the settings, and it's also printed down below if you want to enter it manually. So you can add a basic name for it, and you can select the relationship status, like you're the father, the mother. So we've binded successfully, and now we can see the interface. It says click here for interactive menu. It seems like a guide. Click here for personal preference. You can see the map here hasn't updated yet. It still shows us as being in China, or Shenzhen, and here we can tap to show all the devices on the map. So if you have multiple watches, maybe if you have several kids, you can monitor them all, switch between different apps. So now we are done, and we again have the map here in the center. Once again, it hasn't updated itself, since I think GPS hasn't gotten a lock yet since we're indoors, but you can see that we are using essentially Google Maps to see the location. Now the app is a little messy. I'm not sure if it's fully finished. There's definitely some things they can revise. The top here has a banner that shows happy childhood, winter snow, some fun little animations, but then on the side it also says remove advertising service, which is weird because it doesn't look like there are any ads right now, and it really shouldn't have any ads for a companion app on a smartwatch. But you can also set an alarm clock, and this will be pushed over to the watch, so you can manage maybe to have it ring at 8 or 9 in the morning for your child to wake up. So you can set the alarm clock from the side panel and also allow certain types of push messages to pass through. On the side here, we also have 3 dots where we can take a look at the personal information for our account profile, a number of watches that we've binded, and our account password. Down below here, we can tap on this icon to see that, again, we have currently just one watch, which is OS Review. On the bottom, there is something called chat. So that's essentially a quick way for the parent to start communicating with the child that's wearing the watch. Because again, the watch itself does have cellular connectivity. So if you have a SIM card inserted, you can now use your phone to start writing out a message such as, hello, where are you? I'm picking you up after school, and it will pop over to the watch very quickly, and the child can also respond to you. So that's a quick way of communicating. And here we can also see the security zone. That's essentially drawing a geofence, so you can have a parameter where if the child exits a certain location, it will push you a notification. So this is a typical GPS tracking feature. The center here, there's also additional settings. Find the watch by having it beep, simple things like that, and allow the watch to also remotely turn itself off. And then finally, we just have history. So that just shows us where the watch was last seen on the map, which you can then locate, as well as the date stamp on the very top there. So as far as the GPS tracking and the accuracy, I would say it works all right as long as you are outdoors. Indoors, it does struggle a little bit more, but as long as you're in an open area, it should find where you are fairly quickly, just like on any other sports GPS-enabled watch, that is. All of the calling and messaging features, you do need to have access to the SIM card. If not, it still is able to track some basic location. It still is able to act as a torch, and you still have access to a pedometer and a few limited features on board, but again, it doesn't make quite as much sense. For only $25, I think they did a pretty decent job with building in as many features as they could with the cost constraints in mind. I think making it affordable also is really nice because you don't have to worry if the watch does break or get stolen or damaged, because you can simply replace it very quickly. The features like calling as well as the tracking do work quite well, granted if you have a 2G SIM card. Although I do think they should support 3G capabilities in the future and make it dual band for both CDMA and GSM. And the companion companion app could also use a bit more of an update to make the UI a bit more consistent. But overall, for this really low price, I think it's a decent kid smartwatch if you are looking for a way to more easily track your child's safety, perhaps again for kindergarten or for elementary school kids. You can check out more details in the links down below if that applies to you. But for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Wonbo Q90 Kids smartwatch.